Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Garden of Hope, where we teach people how to become self sufficient through growing their own food and how to use it in everyday life. Well, I hope that all of you are ready to plan your summer garden as our summer season is on its way. But before we get into planning our garden, there's a few things that we need to consider while we do our planning. And one of the things that I want to address today is the use of crop rotation. Today I want to share with you what I have learned about crop rotation for the gardener and to ask the question, does this apply for a small home garden? Let's first define what crop rotation is for anyone new to gardening. It is the process of not growing the same crop in the same location every year. This comes with many other rules, like not to follow a fruiting crop with another fruiting crop. It can become difficult and complicated to manage. This is why I believe that crop rotation works better on a large-scale planting like a farming and agriculture. Crop rotation may only have little to no use in specific cases for the normal home gardener, and I will explain in just a moment. Why do farmers implement crop rotation? Well, first of all, it helps with these three main points. It helps with pest control, disease control, and improved soil nutrition. So let's begin to look at them. In some ways, these benefits are true. Some pests, for example, travel far for the colder months. And if one believes crop rotation is going to help for that, you will need to move your crop many kilometers away to actually benefit from certain pests. That is why in small spaces this makes no sense, as you only can move your crop a few meters away. Crop rotation only works for pests that overwinters in the soil itself. So what about diseases? That depends on the biology of the disease itself. Let's take, for example, a common disease in tomatoes, like tomato blight. These diseases are fungal infections and they do spread by spores. Like, for example, early blight overwinters on dead plant material and soil, which means it can be controlled by crop rotation. But let's then remember that they also travel by means of spore. The problem is the spore can travel far by wind and attach themselves even to insects. Based on this understanding, it might not be so effective in small gardens. Another big reason for crop rotation is to improve soil nutrition. How this works is I will replenish the nitrogen that was taken up by the previous crop by planting crop that uses less of it. For example, if I plant corn that uses up a lot of nitrogen, then that means my soil will be nitrogen insufficient for the next crop. So I will plant legumes like peas and beans. Legumes encourage the growth of rhizobial bacteria on their roots, and these bacteria actually helps to fix nitrogen back into the soil. It is true that legumes take nitrogen from the air, but keeps most of it for themselves, especially when it comes to fruiting. Because most of the nitrogen is found in the fruit, and when you harvest it, removing it from the garden, so you also lose much of that benefit. There is some nitrogen that is fixed back into the soil, but not as many as we would like to believe. So if you want to use this method, you need to work the whole plant back into the garden in order to maintain the nitrogen levels. Lastly, something else to consider is the fact that home gardeners tend to over-fertilize their garden. And because it is a small space, it is very easy to manage, as for example in a large-scale farming land. So I hope this helps you to better plan for what crops you're gonna plant and where you're going to plant them, so that you don't have to overcomplicate it for yourself, but to get the most out of your garden as possible. So enjoy planning for the summer season and enjoy the planting.